As a member of the City Council, he is known when to go along and he's known when to stand and fight. And that's very important in a public advocate or in any public official. He's the only candidate in this race who has a proven record of building broad coalitions, organizing communities, and delivering results. He never backs down from tough fights, and he represents the kind of independent leadership we need in the city's next public advocate. And he's accomplished so many things in so many different areas. From affordable housing to education to hunger, he has fought the fight. In 2006, Bill joined with his council colleagues and housing advocates to make changes to New York City's outdated laws so that developers must now provide affordable units in all new developments, which created much-needed housing throughout New York City. He fought for other key housing programs, such as inclusionary zoning, to encourage developers to create more affordable housing. Last year, Bill led a successful campaign against massive cuts to the education budget, preserving $129 million for public school classrooms. He fought to make the Department of Education more transparent. He recently identified over $57 million in unnecessary spending, including a non-mandated test and a bloated communications operation. He believes families deserve the peace of mind of knowing they can reach their children in an emergency. I think Eric referred to this. 2 years ago, he voted to override the mayor's veto of legislation that would allow students to carry cell phones to school. As chairman of the General Welfare Committee, he fought persistently to get food aid to New Yorkers in need. He's worked with hunger advocates and with his colleagues repeatedly to demand that New York City remove its burdensome finger imaging requirement for working family applicants. As chair of the General Welfare Committee, he has helped pass numerous bills making food stamps more accessible to New Yorkers who need them. He has the experience to represent the values of progressive New Yorkers, having worked for years with some of the biggest and brightest minds in Democratic politics. During the Clinton administration, Bill was the regional director of the Department of Housing and Urban Development under then Secretary Andrew Cuomo. As the regional director, he helped provide affordable housing to many, many working families. In 2000, he led a Liberty campaign to victory as U.S. Senator. After she was elected, he chose to stay in New York City and serve as school board member and then as a city council member in New York. Because of his record, his demonstrated progressivism, his demonstrated integrity, his ability to bring people together, and his innovativeness, I know that Bill de Blasio will be the public advocate New York needs, and I am very, very proud to endorse Bill de Blasio as the public advocate. I look forward to campaigning for him and to securing his election in September and November. And now it's my very pleasant duty to introduce the next public advocate of the City of New York, Bill de Blasio.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. And I am joined by some of the great names, some of the great figures in progressive politics in this city and this state. But I have to begin by acknowledging my greatest friend and ally and partner and inspiration. Please step forward. My wife, Shirlane McRae. And I have to say, it was about maybe 100 feet away, inside those doors, that she walked up to me one day in 1991, while we were both working for Mayor Dinkins, and my life has been much, much better ever since. So, good things do happen to me. Let me speak about these individuals for a moment, and I just want to say a few things about our campaign, about how we want to make this city better. I'm going to go in the order in which they spoke. So, Scott, I have immense appreciation, but also immense respect for what you do. Scott Stringer is synonymous with reform. In Albany, he took on some very tough and unpopular battles to make Albany better. And now you see a lot of changes, and he was one of the people who sparked it. And here in the city, whether it's fighting for affordable housing, whether it is helping to reform the basic work of government, especially our community boards, which are more and more important because of his work, or whether it's looking over the horizons of the kind of city we need to have, which not enough public officials do, but he does. And he mentioned food. I have to say a word, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about food shed. This is the man who's talking about the fact that we have to think about where our food comes from and how to make it more local and how to help our environment and buy locally, grow locally. He's leading the way on that. So thank you, Scott. And continuing to reform Albany every day, these two great leaders. Eric and I have known each other a long time. And what I love about Eric is one of the most substantive people you're going to meet, but also one of the folks who's constantly trying to move the political process forward. We would not have a Democratic majority in the state Senate if it were not for Eric Schneiderman. Period. And I hope history shows that clearly. But he is and I want to say one that is as important, probably much more important. We would not have had this long-awaited change in the Rosenthal drug laws if it weren't for Eric Schneiderman as well. And Linda and I were talking the other day that this is a passionate advocate for her community, and when she takes on a cause, watch out, people on the other side. Affordable housing landlords, get out of the way. Don't be around when she's there. She's fought for victims of domestic violence. She's fought for animal rights. She has a broad set of interests, but the common thread is she fights with tremendous energy and passion and organizes people. So Linda, thank you very much. And then I'm going to say something that I have said to his face and I've said behind his back, and I mean it. I think literally this man is the example to us all of public service. He is the example far and away of how to be a member of the United States Congress, of how to be a progressive. I have modeled since the first time I had the honor of having a real conversation with you in 1994, and the topic was the rail freight tunnel. Yes, it was a long conversation. But from that moment on, I felt this is the guy to model yourself after, because he is achieving such extraordinary things. And again, you know what? Jerry Nadler is not just a guy who has one of the great policy minds of any elected official. He will work that process in Washington to a fairly well. There's a reason all that transportation money keeps coming back. It's one person doing it. Is Jerry Nadler. But that does not mean for a moment he does not establish an extraordinarily effective political operation in the community too. I always say it's one thing to be substantive and it's one thing to be political. If you can put the two together, you can really change the world. And this is the exemplar right here. Congressman Nadler, thank you for everything. And this is by far the best day we've had on the campaign. We've had a lot of good days. I'm proud to have the support of the Working Families Party. I'm proud to support of ACORN, the communications workers, and Congressman's colleagues, Ed Towns and Yvette Clark, and just yesterday, the hotel and restaurant workers. But this, I can say without bias, is the best day we've had. This is an extraordinary election of leaders who have an extraordinary ability to move many, many people to our cause. This is, I think, a group of folks who have established extraordinary reach in the community by long, hard work to change the community for the better. So they have a loyal following, and they got it the good old-fashioned way. They earned it through hard work. And with us working together, I have now got no doubt now we have built a coalition that we need to prevail in this election, and more importantly, to then do the work of changing New York City for the better. Simply put, and I think a lot of great things and flattering things were said earlier, but the concept I like running through all the remarks is the way you make change. And I think no one epitomized this more than our president and how he approached becoming president. He kept saying to us all, you change the world from the grassroots, from the bottom up, not the top down.